Can Kentucky surprise with the best three-point shooter this season? Let's see how. Kentucky basketball season is about to enter a new chapter under Mark Pope, and fans already have reason to celebrate. With a clear and objective philosophy, the coach has made it clear that modern basketball, centered on three-point shooting, will be the Wildcats' trademark this year. The promise is audacious, to surpass the 30-attempt mark from distance per game, something that was not achieved last season but now seems closer than ever. Pope, known for his passion for peripheral shooting, didn't hide his frustration when his team failed to reach this goal last year. This dissatisfaction, however, turned into fuel during the offseason. The coach worked tirelessly with his players to mold a team capable of not only shooting more, but also with greater efficiency. And based on the pieces available this season, there's solid reason to believe the Wildcats can surprise even the most skeptical critics. The projected starting lineup features names that inspire confidence when it comes to three-point shooting. Jalen Lowe, Denzel Aberdeen, Otega Owa, Imo Diabate, and Brandon Garrison form a versatile quintet, technically equipped to execute Pope's offensive vision. Lowe, despite struggling in terms of shooting percentage last season, should benefit greatly from the new tactical dynamic. At Kentucky, he will have more opportunities for open shots, a situation that should significantly improve his stats. Denzel Aberdeen, on the other hand, is a player who arrives with a reputation as a reliable shooter. His ability to hit long-range shots will be crucial in a more central role this season. Otega Owa, who has shown solid percentages in the past, but with a lower volume of attempts, has been working hard to improve his mechanics. If he can improve in this regard, he will become a constant threat to opposing defenses. Diabate and Garrison, both forwards, have also demonstrated an ability to contribute from distance. This trait is especially valuable in a system like Pope's, which requires all players, regardless of position, to be prepared to stretch the floor and create space for collective play. This means the three-point threat won't be limited to the perimeter, but can come from anywhere on the court. However, perhaps the biggest difference this team makes comes from the bench. Kentucky's reserves appear to be a secret weapon ready to be unleashed. Cam Williams, Jasper Johnson, Colin Chandler, Trent Noah, and Andrea Jelavic form an elite group when it comes to three-point shooting. Among them, Cam Williams stands out, who performed impressively during his freshman season at Tulane, hitting over 40% of his shots from distance, averaging 4.6 attempts per game. His arrival at Kentucky promises to make an immediate impact, and his skill could very well lead the team in field goals made this season. The depth of the roster and the technical quality of the players make some fans' concerns about three-point shooting efficiency seem unfounded. This team will not only be capable of shooting a lot, but also of hitting them consistently. The combination of individual talent and the system implemented by Pope creates a promising scenario for the Wildcats. The idea of constantly attacking from the three-point line may seem risky to some, but in the context of this team, it appears to be a well-founded strategy. Furthermore, it's worth noting that Pope's style of play isn't limited to simply filling the court with shots. He seeks to create a dynamic environment where ball movement and off-the-ball cuts are as important as the shots themselves. This balance between volume and execution is what could propel Kentucky to another level of competitiveness, both within the conference and in national tournaments. Wildcats fans can therefore rest easy. Led by Mark Pope, this team promises to deliver an offensive performance filled with precise shots and exciting moments. The upcoming season is poised to be a milestone in the program's recent history, with the potential to put Kentucky back at the top of the college basketball conversation. With a blend of young talent, experience, and an innovative philosophy, the Wildcats are poised to surprise this year. Speaking of football, Kentucky faces a challenge that could define its season, finding answers in the passing game. With only 2 receiving touchdowns so far, both coming from tight ends in a game against Eastern Michigan, a team considered one of the weakest in the NCAA, the Wildcats are at crossroads. The lack of effective passing is not only a technical issue, but also a question of offensive identity for a team seeking to establish itself among the best in the SEC. Coach Mark Stoops, who has demonstrated his ability to rebuild a program and mold competitive teams, knows that this moment requires patience and strategy. He was asked about this creative crisis on Monday, and his answer reflects the philosophy of a seasoned coach. We'll take anyone who excels. This statement, though simple, carries profound meaning. Stoops is open to change, whether with newly arrived young talent or veterans still finding their place. The message is clear. The status quo will not be accepted for long. The loss of Dane Key and Barion Brown to the transfer portal has left a glaring void at the wide receiver position. The additions from the transfer portal so far haven't had the expected impact, and names like Kendrick Law, despite leading the group in absolute numbers, have been used primarily on short routes, unable to stretch opposing defenses. It's in this context that the inevitable question arises: could young receivers be the solution? Among the freshmen and high school reinforcements who have recently arrived, there's latent promise. However, so far, these players haven't been able to outperform their older counterparts in day-to-day practice. This doesn't mean they lack potential, but rather that they still need time to mature and adapt to the level required by the SEC. With another break in the schedule looming, this could be the perfect opportunity for these youngsters to prove their worth. One name that emerges as an interesting prospect is Hardly Gilmore, a sophomore who, while still inconsistent, has shown flashes of brilliance. His 38-yard reception against Ole Miss was a clear example of his potential. Gilmore is the kind of athlete who can make a difference in tight plays, but he needs more consistency to establish himself as a reliable weapon. Stoops recognizes this and expressed confidence in the player's growth, emphasizing that he can do some things for us if he continues to improve. Another crucial aspect of the passing attack success is the relationship between quarterback and wide receivers. Cutter Boley, the freshman backup who struggled in his SEC debut against South Carolina, needs adequate support from his receivers. For him to thrive, it's crucial that the players around him raise their performance level. Football is a team sport, and the improvement of a department depends directly on the synergy between everyone involved. What makes this situation intriguing is the positive uncertainty. Yes, Kentucky's passing attack is struggling, but there is reason for optimism. The coaching staff, led by Stoops, is aware of its current limitations and is working to correct them. The young, still inexperienced players are being molded to take on important roles in the near future. And, above all, there's a clear willingness to experiment with new options and give chances to those who deserve them. In a sport where offensive mindsets can change the course of a season, Kentucky is in the process of fine-tuning its gears. Results may not be seen immediately, but building a solid wide receiver unit is a necessary step to ensure long-term success. Mark Stoops, with his experience and strategic vision, seems to be on the right track to find solutions. If the young receivers can live up to expectations, the Wildcats' passing attack could finally take off, bringing new dimensions to the team's game. We'll see. And speaking of Mark Stoops, who embodies this fragile balance, he's the most successful coach in program history, responsible for elevating the Wildcats to unprecedented heights and putting Lexington in the national conversation. But, like any longtime coach, he lives with the weight of pressure and the winds of dissatisfaction that blow after consecutive losses. Still, when a direct rival like Kirby Smart, a multi-champion at Georgia, demands respect and recognition. It's clear there's something deeper to be considered beyond the most recent numbers on the scoreboard. Smart didn't mince words when talking about Stoops. In a league like the SEC, where short-termism can swallow up coaches with solid track records, the Georgia coach recalled that his work at Kentucky was transformative. He highlighted the resilience, competitiveness, and physical style that Stoops instilled in the team, characteristics that made the Wildcats a formidable opponent even for the conference giants. These are compliments that aren't just courtesy. Smart knows how much Kentucky has made Georgia sweat in recent matches, and he recognizes that the identity forged by Stoops is that of a team that never gives up easily. This recognition from the outside is a point that needs to be emphasized. Fans may be frustrated by the 8-22 record against power conference rivals since 2022, but the legacy of a coach who broke historic barriers within the program shouldn't be erased. Today's Kentucky, with its flaws and ups and downs, still bears the mark of a physically robust team, competitive in the trenches and respected within the league. This is no small feat, especially in an SEC where the space for programs outside the traditional framework is increasingly limited. The clearest example of this competitiveness is in the games against Georgia itself. While still winless, it's true, it consistently pushes the Bulldogs into more grueling battles than expected. In last year's matchup, for example, the Wildcats were one play away from flipping the script, showing that the distance between winning and losing to the nation's #1 team wasn't as great as the final statistics suggest. This kind of performance fuels the belief that Kentucky isn't a supporting player. It's a protagonist with its own style, forcing even the biggest powers to play in uncomfortable conditions. Smart went beyond tactical respect. When discussing the running back's physical style, the solidity of the offensive line, and Stoops' philosophy of relying on the ground game, he touched on the point that best defines the coach's era in Lexington: identity. In a sport so marked by rapid transitions and constant change, having a clear signature, recognized even by the most demanding opponents, is an achievement few programs achieve. It's true that the pressure won't go away. The SEC isn't a league that allows for much respite, and the upcoming matches against Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee offer no room for easy recovery. But what's shaping up now isn't just a season of survival. It's a chance for reassurance. Kirby Smart's voice, echoing Stoops' work, serves as a reminder to fans that the path taken in recent years shouldn't be forgotten in the face of recent setbacks. Stoops built more than just numbers. He transformed the way Kentucky is viewed within college football. He became a legitimate contender, forged a physical and competitive identity, and, above all, made the program be taken seriously. This legacy can't be reduced to a snapshot of recent results. If even one of the country's greatest coaches recognizes the importance of this work, perhaps it's time for Kentucky fans to look at the season from a broader perspective, less caught up in immediate frustration and more focused on the respect earned. In Lexington, the ball is still live. And with Mark Stoops at the helm, is Kentucky still a team capable of surprising even the SEC's biggest teams? Not through luck, but through style? Let's see. Share your thoughts.